You probably remember the Rocky movies. There was boxing, it was tough, there were fights and training sessions. The guys were determined, but above all, you'll remember that he ate raw eggs. It didn't look very appetizing, but we found it interesting from a protein, testosterone, and energy perspective. Today we're going to take a look at eggs and ask, are they dangerous for your health? Are they interesting from a nutritional point of view? As they contain everything needed to support the development of an embryo, eggs are naturally rich in micronutrients, vitamins B and A, high-quality protein and fats, which sometimes raise concerns. Hello everyone, and welcome to this new video. Welcome to AI Health Talk 360, your health channel. Let's begin our investigation of eggs by looking at their protein content. Eggs are a complete protein source with very high protein digestibility. When cooked, 90% of the protein in eggs is digested, making them one of the best sources of protein. However, this is less important when eggs are raw, as only 50% of the protein is digested, resulting in a lower quality protein. In terms of taste, price, and protein quality, I would argue that eggs are one of the best compromises among all foods. They are low in calories, inexpensive, a high-quality source of protein, and tasty, and can be combined with many other foods, making them easy to eat and absorb. However, you might argue that this isn't the problem with eggs. The scary thing about eggs is the lipids, the fats contained in eggs, and in particular cholesterol. The first thing to consider is the relationship between ingested cholesterol and blood cholesterol levels. There are two schools of thought on this. The traditional view is that there is a proven link between dietary cholesterol and cardiovascular disease, the leading cause of death worldwide. However, the new school of thought claims that there is no link between dietary cholesterol and blood cholesterol levels, and therefore no link between dietary cholesterol and cardiovascular disease. The truth probably lies somewhere in between. Some people are more sensitive to cholesterol intake, and their blood cholesterol levels and risk of cardiovascular disease rise when they consume more cholesterol. Most people, on the other hand, see their blood cholesterol levels rise when they consume cholesterol associated with good fats, such as the monounsaturated fats found in eggs and olive oil. This type of cholesterol can improve an individual's lipid profile, promoting good cholesterol, HDL, over bad cholesterol, LDL. Randomized controlled trials, the gold standard of research, were conducted to assess the health risks posed by eggs. Diabetics were asked to consume 1 or 2 eggs per day for periods ranging from 5 weeks to 3 months. No negative impact of eggs on the health of people with diabetes was found. Therefore, people most likely to experience negative health effects from eating eggs are those who participated in epidemiological studies, which are observational studies conducted on hundreds of thousands of people around the world over decades. These studies found a relationship or correlation between egg consumption, increased blood cholesterol levels, and the risk of cardiovascular disease, and this impact was generally negative. This impact has mainly been observed in American populations whose lifestyles were characterized by a strong correlation between egg consumption, smoking, alcohol consumption, and low physical activity. For the time being, therefore, science is finding it very difficult to say precisely whether egg consumption is dangerous or not. Overall, studies show that consuming fewer than 3 or up to 3 eggs per day leads to an improvement in lipid profile. Are you aware of the impact that eggs have on your diet and health? What can you do? Regular lipid profile tests can be used to assess the impact of eggs on health. In this case, if there is no deterioration or even an improvement, eggs can continue to be consumed without risk. However, if there is a deterioration in the indicators, this can easily be remedied by replacing eggs with other high-quality protein sources. So, returning to this high-quality protein source, we asked ourselves a lot of questions, such as, should I eat eggs raw or cooked? Given that protein absorption is lower with raw eggs, a fairly recent study was conducted on this subject. Contrary to what we might expect based on physiological principles, this study did not prove that cooked eggs are superior to raw eggs for building muscle mass. The results were the same for both. Secondly, we found that whole eggs produced higher levels of protein synthesis than egg whites. This is presumed to be due to the presence of lecithin and cholesterol in whole eggs, with the latter being highly anabolic, as I reminded you. I encourage you to learn more about the anabolic effects of cholesterol. My advice is that you should consider your diet and daily egg intake in relation to how your body reacts to the fats contained in eggs. Of course, for many of you, eggs are a much higher quality food than most of what you consume daily. If you are watching your diet to minimize your intake of bad fats that increase cholesterol levels and the risk of cardiovascular disease, I would like to remind you to limit your consumption of cold cuts, poultry skin, and red meat as well as butter. If you are not already doing so, eating eggs can only be beneficial as they contain very little saturated fat, which is the main cause of increased cholesterol in the blood. If you have a fairly healthy diet and want to incorporate eggs into it, you should know the following. You should have regular blood tests and ensure that eggs are a good source of food and protein that promotes muscle growth, thanks particularly to the anabolic action of the amino acids and cholesterol contained in whole eggs. If you have any questions about eggs, or if there are other topics you would like us to cover in detail, looking at both the good and bad sides of science and always including feedback from the field, please let us know. See you soon for a new video with more nutritional advice and information on other health-related topics.